My name is Cedric Hawkins, and this is my presentation on the importance of technology in the classroom. So, this quote comes from Caroline Pratt, who is an American educator, and she notes right here that children need most of the same things adults need: consideration, respect for their work, the knowledge that they and the things they do are taken seriously. And I believe that this is such an incredible quote and an incredible statement that coincides with my brief philosophy of education because I think it's important that children are considered and taken care of, and that there's a deep need and desire for them to improve in the classroom and that the educator does care about it. So I thought this statement coincides with my philosophy of education, which I will get into in the next slide. So, my personal philosophy of education is progressivism. And with progressivism, it focuses on experimental learning and gives the students the opportunity to be involved with the lessons. Progressivism also focuses on student learning by doing rather than by being lectured by their educators or professors. And one of the key differences between essentialism and progressivism is that a progressive classroom is more student centered as opposed to teacher centered. And this is my favorite philosophy of education mainly because it involves the students and the students are engaged with their learning and what they're doing. I've been a victim of classrooms where I've been a passive learner and I've been sitting and I've watched my teacher or professor teach a lesson and it doesn't really hold my interest and I'm not really engaged in it. And by far, the best classes that I was ever involved in was where I was involved in the lesson. I was engaged. I was able to get up and share my experiences or answer a question and deliver it to the class. It was working with different groups. It was getting up and doing something on the smartboard in front of my peers. Those were the best classrooms where the students were engaged and they were involved in learning. So that's why progressivism is my favorite philosophy of education, and I hope to implement those strategies into my classroom when I begin to teach. So right here are some of the benefits of a progressivist classroom, and one of the benefits is that it boosts student engagement, it allows students to be creative, it teaches them to collaborate and work with others, it boosts their independence and allows them to work on their own, and also it helps them think critically both inside and outside the classroom. I believe that if more classrooms are more progressivist and it's all about the students and how they learn and they are engaged and they are involved as part of the lesson, that these benefits can definitely help them out. So on this slide right here, I give some of my favorite ISTE standards that I learned when we did that lesson earlier in the semester. And what I wrote down was the collaborator, which is 2.4, and that was my favorite standard out of the seven that was given right there. And part of the reason why is that because I think it's important in this world to collaborate with others and form multiple perspectives on different things. And as an educator, it's important that we don't have just one individual perspective. I believe it's important that we form multiple perspectives and that we're able to view things and analyze things not only critically but through the eyes of somebody else. And that is ultimately something that we want to teach our students also, is that we don't want them to think about situations that are through their eyes. We want them to see it through the perspectives of other people and to form the opinions and listen to the opinions of other people and see how it affects them. And I think the collaborator is such a great tool for the ISTE standard. And it's something that educators can also work with their colleagues also. They can learn from them. I believe that through collaboration, individuals can work together to form new meanings that are important to them and it creates solutions to problems that may need to be solved. So ultimately that's why the collaborator is my favorite standard and that's why I decided to include that in my slide. So right here, I deliver the importance of collaboration, and the best way an educator can improve their craft is to challenge themselves to learn new skills that can boost academic performance for their students and colleagues. And as I say in the second bullet point, educators who spend more time learning and collaborating with their students will in turn create a positive environment that not only boosts student engagement, but also increases their creativity and allows them to really think critically about the skills that they can utilize outside of the classroom that they need. And I think the biggest thing is collaborating with them to find something that can really hold their attention and engage them. Because a lot of students can lose focus very quickly, and you never want a student to do that because that means that they're not learning well and that they aren't receiving that material that they're supposed to. So it's always important to not only collaborate with the students, but collaborate with your colleagues who have experience. And through all of that, you'll be able to create a positive classroom environment where the student is engaged and willing to learn. So, how will I provide access to technology for all of my students? What I said was if the opportunity allows me to, I would love to give my students the opportunity to take their school computers or tablets home and let them complete their assignments. Granted, of course, I would have to have the school's permission and my principal's permission to be able to do that. But there are some students who live in areas, lower income areas, who do not have the technological resources outside of the classroom to complete their homework or assessments. And with assignments being now distributed online as a result of COVID and the pandemic, students may not have the opportunity to have and use their laptops at home to complete their assignments if they're unable to. So, to fix this problem and to come up with a solution, I would like to give my students the opportunity to take their devices home to be able to complete their assignments or try to find time within my class time frame to allow them to get their work done and allow them to really take their time so they can not only understand the material but be able to complete their assignments and form a complete understanding of those topics that we learned in class. So the way I would incorporate technology into my classroom is incorporate videos and audio into my lesson plans. I would utilize an online calendar or weekly newsletter that I would send out to the students and to the parents online to remind them of certain things that we will be discussing in class. And I will also implement online games that we can use in the classroom to reiterate the topics that we discussed and also keep the classroom positively engaged. So, in conclusion, it is very important that educators implement technology in the classroom and that they continue to find innovative ways to implement it into their lesson plans to be able to keep the students engaged and have them become willing to learn. I believe that there are so many resources with technology, so many online sites that we can use to really boost academic performance for the children. And I believe that if more educators continue to implement technology in the classroom, that we will be able to boost children's independent skills, their critical thinking skills, and really have them form a deep knowledge with technology that they can be able to carry with them in the future when they become adults. So it is very important that I, as a future educator, prepare the next generation of leaders to learn how to use technology and use it in a healthy and productive way. So that is why technology is important in the classroom. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.